Hello, and welcome to another episode of Bing Chat Before Bedtime. So here I'm recreating something I tried the other evening. I think I'll bring across my prompt notes here just to make this a little bit easier to explain. So it was a reasonably serious session where I was mulling through this scenario. So it goes something like this. I was curious about, so there's some givens here. Let's assume for a moment that the rule about it takes, was it 10 years or 10,000 hours to become an expert is correct. I know there's lots of debate about it. I'm trying to even remember the book where it was first discussed. Anyway, so we'll take that as a given. And I wanted to explore something in Bing Chat, which is if we take that concept and apply the Pareto Principle to it, and get in a conversation with Bing Chat along the lines of, if I wanted to spend 20% of the time it takes to become an expert learning domain skills with the purpose to become an expert in foundation models, what would that 20% be if I wanted it to give me 80% or be able to deal with 80% of the problem domain? So if you like, 20% of the study skills to give me 80% of the problem solving skills, and see where that might take me. As we get down here, obviously I'm recreating something I'd done previously, so I'm going to get slightly different results. There's some other stuff here as well, and based on how much it deviates from when I've run it through before, I may have to refine these. So anyway, that's where I'm going with this. You can see I've got a bit of softening up here, a bit of prep. I'm also going to put this into creative mode simply because when I did this, I had it in there already because I was messing around with some rather frivolous story creation. So it just happened that I did a new topic and then started again when I was trying this out the other evening. So I'm going to leave it like this. So first question is like this sort of softening up question. So I'm just going to get it to give me some definitions about foundation models, expert, autodidact, and Pareto Principle. I'll come on in a moment why I've picked the term autodidact. Here, so here we go. Let me just get the other one ready. So here we go. So it's telling me about foundation models. Okay. Look into that. Yep. It's an expert. Someone who teaches themselves a skill or subject without formal instructional guidance. And the 80-20 rule. 80% of effects come from 20% of the causes. I've used the Pareto Principle a lot, actually. First time I probably used it in anger after I learned about it was with failure analysis. So, looking at, say, failures, and this was a manufacturing plant where there was a lot of, as part of the product line, one of the items that we used in the production of the product, the prep was such that it was possible for it to get damaged, and the people on the production line would keep track of the amount of damages, what caused it. So what I did an analysis and looked at, what 80% of damaged items were caused through 20% of the types of things that would damage it. And so the idea was to focus on that 20% to reduce the causes of the damage, so that then that would reduce 80% of the actual damage. So that's one example of where I used it. I've used it in other instances, and I was curious as to, let's see what happens if we apply this to the process of learning in terms of just a chat with Bing. Okay, so next thing I'm going to ask it is, how long does it take an autodidact to become an expert in foundation models? And that will come up again in a moment, because when I start asking about suggesting resources, I want it to not necessarily suggest formal courses. I want it to move more towards this sort of scenario of self-directed learning, using, not using formal instruction or guidance. Okay, so it's good. It's that's what I was trying to think of. Malcolm Gladwell. So it's brought up the 10,000 hours, which is good. So again, a little bit of softening here going on. Also giving us some useful information already. So now we ask the big question. Now, something I'm also getting interested in, but I've chosen not to do it in this episode, is putting multiple questions within the same prompt, because you've got 2000 here, and I'm sure in future videos I'll start doing more of that, but with some of these it's nice to break it down. Okay, so if I was to apply the Pareto Principle to the learning of foundation models and wanted to spend 20% of the time it takes to become an expert, whereas an expert, to become an expert, learning domain skills in order to deal with 80% of the problem domain, what skills should I focus on in those 2,000 hours? Let me just make sure I've worded that correctly. Let's become an expert. Okay. See what it does. I may need to reword it. I actually copied these down after I did it the other night, and it's quite possible I miswrote. Okay, here we go. Oh, so this is slightly different, but let's see if it draws itself back in. So it's basically putting up a hurdle here, I think. So not quite so helpful as it was the other evening. So let's do assume for a moment it was feasible we've got it in creative mode after all. It should be able to think creatively. Assume for a moment it was feasible. What might the answer to my question be? Maybe it's going to go into a strop. We'll see. You just can't do it. Okay, here we go. So there we go. It's always good to push it a little bit. All right. Bingo. It possibly is correct. Can't apply Pareto to everything. Maybe the balance is different, like 30-70 or something else. But you know, 2 years to get 80% of the domain knowledge. It's pretty good. Instead of 10 or 10,000 hours or whatever. Okay, good. So the other thing is obviously, if I wanted to keep this, and I've said this numerous times, but I'll say it again, I'd obviously be copying this, and I can do this after the fact. So let's try this next question, because we're back on track. So this was the one that, how might I spread this out over 2,000 hours of study? Might not be so willing. What it did in my session before bedtime is, oh, that's cool. This is a lot better. It actually sort of re-quoted or reapplied Pareto to the problem, and then just split it into two and said, oh, spend 80% of your time doing this, spend 20% of your time doing this other thing, which I thought was quite funny. This is actually this is better than... Is that, of course, is that adding up to... Yeah, that's good. Okay, this is fun. So you can apply this, obviously, to other problem domains. So we'll go on with the next question. What are some good resources for an autodidact who wants to learn about foundation models? So we're going slightly... off here. We're not quite so obsessed with the 2,000 hours thing. It's restating the fact that I should be consistent and motivated in your learning and seek feedback and guidance from members and experts. Well, that's pretty sensible. Certainly mentoring is a good thing. Okay, so this, again, this is not dissimilar to the other evening. Definitely mentioned the CRFM website, and I'm not going to disturb this by bringing it up, but I wonder if that's the big pay, or is it this one? No, hang on. Anyway. Yeah, there is a paper that goes through, I can't remember the exact title, I've got it saved somewhere, which goes through the pros and cons of foundation models, that sort of thing. Yeah, and I think that's on the Stanford website, which publishes all the papers. Okay, so we've done what are some good resources. So the one last thing I'll do is just ask it what resources do you recommend I start with, and then see. Okay, CRFM. Fair enough, build out from there. So at this point, I could obviously, ask some other questions or click on the things that it sort of wants me to ask. But I think that's enough for this video, really. Hopefully you got a feel for what I was trying to do there. I'll I'll post the original questions in the description. It's a bit, these answers are a bit too long here to post in as well. But if you fancy giving it a try, you can like rerun it on the different modes as well. I nearly pressed that by accident. That would not be good because I haven't saved any of this. Yeah, so give it a try. Try it out with other domains of knowledge and see how you get on, and maybe make a comment in the comment section. Thanks once again for watching. Bye for now, and I'll catch you in the next video.